What's wrong with your face? Who did this to you? I fell. The morning sun barely touched the floors of the mansion when Leonardo Rossi descended the grand staircase. His footsteps were silent, calculated, like everything else about him. At 34, he built an empire that made men twice his age bow their heads in respect and fear. His tailored black suit held no creases. His dark hair was perfectly styled, and his expression revealed nothing. But something was off today. Maya stood in the corner of the main hall, her back turned, shoulders hunched as she arranged fresh flowers in the crystal vase. Her usual grace was missing, replaced by stiff, hurried movements. Maya, his voice cut through the silence like a blade. She flinched. In the 6 months she'd worked here, he'd never seen her do that. "Good morning, Mr. Rossi," she said without turning around. Her voice sounded strained, tight. Leonardo's eyes narrowed. He crossed the room in 5 long strides and positioned himself where he could see her face. That's when he saw it. A dark crimson stain marked her left cheekbone, partially hidden beneath makeup that hadn't quite done its job. Her bottom lip was swollen on one side. And when she finally met his gaze, he saw something that made his blood run cold. "What happened to your face?" "I fell. Last night. It's nothing really." She turned back to the flowers, her hands trembling so badly that a white lily slipped from her fingers and tumbled to the floor. Leonardo didn't move. He'd interrogated enough people to know a lie when he heard one. But this wasn't business. This was Maya, the woman who hummed old soul songs while she cleaned, who left sticky notes with terrible jokes on his coffee maker, who somehow made this cold mansion feel less empty. "Look at me." It wasn't a request. Maya's hand stilled. Slowly, she turned and he saw the full extent of it. Not just the blood stain, but the finger-shaped bruises peeking out from beneath her collar, the way she held her left arm close to her body. The defeat in her brown eyes that no amount of pride could hide. "Everyone out," he said quietly. His 3 guards positioned at various points in the room exchanged glances but obeyed without question. The heavy doors closed with a soft thud. "Rossi, please. I need this job. I promise it won't happen again. I'll cover it better." Maya's lips pressed together. A single tear escaped down her cheek, and she wiped it away quickly as if crying was something shameful. "It doesn't matter. It matters to me." Those 4 words hung in the air between them. Leonardo hadn't meant to say them with such intensity, but there they were, raw and honest. Maya's shoulders began to shake. Then like a dam breaking, everything poured out. "His name is Derek. We've been together for 2 years. He wasn't always like this. I swear. After my ex-husband left, Derek helped with bills with my daughter. But then he started controlling everything. Where I go, who I talk to, how I spend money. Last night, I told him I got a raise here, and he said I was probably sleeping with you to get it when I defended myself." Her voice cracked. "I have an 8-year-old daughter. Mister, he knows where she goes to school. He said if I ever left him or told anyone, he'd make sure I never saw her again." Leonardo's jaw clenched so hard it hurt. A cold rage settled over him. The kind that made him dangerous. The kind that had built his reputation. But when he spoke, his voice was surprisingly gentle. "Does Lily know? I always make sure she's asleep before things get bad. Where is she now?" "My neighbor watches her in the mornings before school." Leonardo pulled out his phone and made a call. "Vincent, send 2 men, too." He glanced at Maya, who whispered an address. "Send 2 of our best discreet protection detail for an 8-year-old girl and her guardian. No one approaches them without clearance." Maya's eyes went wide. "Rossi, you don't have to. What's Derek's full name and address? I can't ask you to get involved in my mess. You've been nothing but kind to me, and I won't drag you into Maya." He stepped closer, and she instinctively stepped back until her spine hit the wall. But he didn't crowd her. Instead, he maintained just enough distance to feel safe, while making sure she heard every word. "I'm already involved. The moment you walked through my door with his marks on you, I became involved. Now give me his information, or I'll find it myself. Your choice is only whether you help me or not." She told him everything. Derek Mitchell lived in a rundown apartment complex on the east side, the kind of place where people minded their business because asking questions got you hurt. He was a shift manager at a warehouse, played cards on weekends, and had a reputation for talking big. When Leonardo and 2 of his men arrived at 8 p.m. that evening, Derek was home. They could hear his television through the thin walls. Leonardo knocked once, twice. The door swung open, and Derek stood there in a stained tank top and basketball shorts, a beer in his hand. He was 6 feet 2 inches, broad-shouldered with the kind of build that intimidated normal people. Yeah, the hell do you want? Leonardo smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Derek Mitchell, we need to talk about Maya. Derek's expression changed from irritation to recognition to fear in the span of 3 seconds. Everyone in this city knew Leonardo Rossi's face, even if they'd never met him. Look, man, I don't want any trouble. Whatever she told you. She told me you put your hands on her multiple times. She told me you threatened her daughter. Leonardo's voice was conversational, almost friendly. That's what made it terrifying. Now, I'm going to give you 2 options, and I suggest you choose carefully. Derek tried to puff up his chest. You can't come here threatening me. I got rights. I'll call the cops. One of Leonardo's men chuckled darkly. Option 1. Leonardo continued as if Derek hadn't spoken. You never speak to Maya again. Forget she exists. If I hear you've even driven down her street, what happens next will be the last mistake you ever make. And option 2. Leonardo's smile widened. There is no option 2. I just wanted you to feel like you had a choice. Derek's hand tightened around his beer bottle. For a moment, it looked like he might try something stupid. Then, reality set in. This wasn't some woman he could bully. This was Leonardo Rossi, and the 2 men flanking him looked like they ate guys like Derek for breakfast. Fine, whatever. She wasn't that good anyway. Leonardo's hand shot out faster than Derek could blink, gripping his throat and slamming him against the door frame. The beer bottle shattered on the ground. Let me be crystal clear, Leonardo said, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. If you ever speak about her like that again, I won't send warnings. I won't have conversations. I'll erase you from existence so thoroughly that people will forget you ever lived. Do we understand each other? Derek nodded frantically, his face turning red. Leonardo released him and stepped back, smoothing his jacket as if nothing had happened. Enjoy your evening, Derek. 3 hours later, Leonardo pulled up to Maya's small apartment. The lights were on in the second-floor unit. He'd texted her that he was coming, didn't want to frighten her. She opened the door before he could knock. Still in her work clothes, her face scrubbed clean of makeup, the injuries looked worse without it. Did you? He won't bother you again. I made sure of it. Maya's hand flew to her mouth and fresh tears spilled over. But these were different. These were relief. Thank you, God. Thank you so much. I don't know how I can ever repay you. Don't need to repay me, but we need to talk about your living situation. This apartment complex doesn't have security, and your locks are substandard. I have a property about 10 minutes from here. 3 bedrooms, gated community, security system. It's empty. You and Lily should move there. Rossi, I can't accept that. I can't afford. It's part of your employment package. Consider it a housing benefit. Maya laughed through her tears, a sound that hit him square in the chest. You're making that up completely. But you'll still accept it because you're smart enough to know it's the right choice for Lily. Before Maya could respond, a small voice came from behind her. Mama, who's at the door? A little girl appeared clutching a stuffed rabbit. She had her mother's eyes and a halo of curly hair pulled into 2 puffs. She looked at Leonardo with open curiosity rather than fear. Lily baby, this is Mr. He's Mama's boss. You're really tall, Lily observed. Leonardo found himself crouching down to her level. Something he'd never done for anyone. You're very observant. What's that mean? It means you notice things. That's a good quality. Lily beamed. Mama says I notice too much sometimes. Your mama is very smart. Are you the reason those nice men were at my school today? Miss Rosa said they were making sure I was safe. Leonardo glanced up at Maya, who was watching them with an expression he couldn't quite read. I wanted to make sure you and your mama are always safe. Like a superhero, something like that. Lily considered this seriously. You can stay for dinner if you want. We're having spaghetti. Mama makes the best spaghetti. And that's how Leonardo Rossi, one of the most feared men in the city, found himself sitting at a cramped kitchen table eating slightly overcooked spaghetti while an 8-year-old told him about her science project on butterflies. The next 3 weeks passed in a strange new rhythm. Maya and Lily moved into the apartment Leonardo provided. It was in a safe neighborhood with good schools. And for the first time in years, Maya slept through the night without jumping at every sound. She still worked at the mansion. But things were different now. Leonardo found excuses to be wherever she was working. They'd talk, not boss and employee, but 2 people discovering each other. One night, long after everyone else had left, Maya found Leonardo in his study, staring at an old photograph. "You're still here." "Ah," he said without looking up. "I could say the same to you." He turned the photograph toward her. It showed a young Italian woman with kind eyes and a shy smile. "My mother," he explained. "She died when I was 12. Maya moved closer, studying the image. She was beautiful. She was also trapped in a marriage with a violent man. My father was a powerful businessman, well respected. No one knew what happened behind closed doors. She stayed because she thought she was protecting me. That leaving would make things worse." His voice was hollow. "She was wrong. He killed her in a drunken rage one night, made it look like an accident. Leonardo." It was the first time she'd used his first name. "When I saw you that morning with blood on your face, all I could see was her. All those times she tried to hide the bruises, the split lips, the broken ribs. I swore after she died that I would never let another woman suffer like that. Not if I had the power to stop it." Maya's hand found his, their fingers intertwining naturally. "Your mother would be proud of the man you became. Would she? I've done terrible things." Maya built an empire on fear and blood. "You also protected a stranger and her daughter when you didn't have to. You gave us safety when we had none." That's what she'd see. They stood there in the dim light of the study, hands clasped, both understanding that something fundamental had shifted between them. "I'm falling for you," Leonardo said quietly. "I shouldn't be. You work for me. You're dealing with trauma. The timing is terrible, but I can't seem to stop it." Maya's breath caught. "I feel it too. You scare me, but not in the way Derek did. You scare me because I want to trust you, and trust has only hurt me before. That's what scares me most." Leonardo turned to face her fully, his free hand coming up to cup her cheek, careful of the fading bruises. "Then let's be scared together." When he kissed her, it was soft, tentative, asking permission with every second. Maya melted into it, her hands gripping his shirt as if he might disappear. But happiness in Leonardo's world was never simple. For weeks after their first kiss, Derek resurfaced. He'd been drinking with his friends, working up courage and rage in equal measure. He'd been humiliated, threatened, forced to slink away like a coward. His pride couldn't take it, so he waited outside Lily's school with two of his buddies, planning to grab the girl and force Maya to come back to him. They never got close. Leonardo's security detail saw them the moment they approached the school grounds. Within minutes, Derek and his friends were restrained. Lily was whisked away to safety, and Leonardo received a phone call that made his blood turn to ice. He found Maya at the school holding a sobbing Lily, both of them surrounded by his men. He tried to take her. Maya gasped when she saw him. "He actually tried to take my baby." Leonardo knelt in front of them, his usual composure cracking. "She's safe. You're both safe. I promise you this ends tonight." "Where is he being held?" "Waiting for me." Maya grabbed his arm. "Don't kill him, please. I don't want that on your conscience because of me. He tried to kidnap your daughter." "I know, but there are other ways. Legal ways. Your connections can make sure he goes to prison, right? Not just a slap on the wrist." Leonardo studied her face, seeing the strength beneath the fear. She wasn't asking for him to let Derek go. She was asking him to be better than his worst instincts. "For you," he said finally. "Only for you." Derek Mitchell was arrested that night. With Leonardo's connections and resources, the DA had an airtight case within 48 hours. Assault, attempted kidnapping, stalking, violation of a restraining order. Leonardo had helped Maya file. Derek would spend the next 8 years behind bars. But the incident had consequences beyond Derek's fate. Vincent, Leonardo's second-in-command and cousin, confronted him 2 days later in his office. "The men are talking," Vincent said without preamble. "About you and the maid. Her name is Maya. Her name doesn't matter. What matters is that you're compromised, making decisions based on emotion rather than logic. Putting organization resources toward a personal matter." Leonardo's eyes went cold. "Are you questioning my leadership?" "I'm questioning your judgment. This woman and her child have made you soft. What happens when our enemies realize that? When they see you have a weakness they can exploit, then I'll handle it like I've handled everything else by going to war over a woman. Vincent, think about what you're doing. She's not one of us. She doesn't understand this life. And that little girl—" "Careful," Leonardo warned, his voice dropping dangerously low. "Be very careful about what you say next." Vincent ran a hand through his hair in frustration. "I'm trying to protect you. Protect what we've built. Your father would never have. My father was a monster who beat my mother to death. If you're using him as a moral compass, we have bigger problems than my relationship with Maya." The room fell silent. Vincent's jaw worked, but no words came out. "I make my own choices," Leonardo continued. "I always have. Maya and Lily are under my protection, and they will remain so. Anyone who has a problem with that can leave. That includes you, cousin." Vincent stared at him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "I hope you know what you're doing." "So do I." 6 months later, everything had changed. Maya no longer worked as a maid. Leonardo had discovered she had a business degree she'd never been able to use. So he put her in charge of managing his legitimate enterprises, restaurants, real estate, import businesses. She was brilliant at it, bringing an organization and attention to detail that impressed even his most skeptical associates. Lily thrived. She called Leonardo Uncle Leonardo and had started taking taekwondo lessons that he insisted on personally supervising. He was surprisingly patient with her, never raising his voice, always encouraging. On a quiet Sunday afternoon, the three of them were at the park. Lily was on the swings, pumping her legs and laughing as she went higher and higher. "She's fearless," Leonardo observed, watching her. "She gets that from you," Maya said, leaning into his side. "From me. You taught her it's okay to be strong, that she doesn't have to make herself small to make others comfortable. That's a gift." Leonardo was quiet for a moment. Then he reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Maya's breath stopped. "I know it's fast," he said, turning to face her fully. "I know we've been through hell to get here. I know my world is dangerous and complicated and not what you probably imagined for yourself." He opened the box, revealing a simple but elegant diamond ring. "But I also know that I've never felt more human than I do when I'm with you and Lily. You make me want to be better. You make me believe I can be better." Tears streamed down Maya's face. "Maya Thompson, will you marry me?" "Yes," she whispered, then louder. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." He slid the ring onto her finger. And when he kissed her, Lily's delighted shriek carried across the playground. "Mama's getting married. Uncle Leonardo is going to be my uncle for real." They laughed, pulling Lily into their embrace, the three of them forming a unit that 6 months ago would have seemed impossible. That night, after Lily was asleep, Maya and Leonardo sat on the balcony of the mansion under the stars. "Are you scared?" he asked. "Terrified," she admitted. "But not of you. I'm scared I'll wake up and this will all be a dream. That I'll be back in that old apartment, afraid and alone." "You're never going to be alone again. That's my promise to you. You've already kept so many promises." "Then what's one more?" "I love you, Leonardo Rossi." "I love you, Maya Thompson." Soon to be Maya Rossi. They stayed there until dawn broke over the city. Two people who'd found each other in the darkest circumstances and chosen to build something beautiful from the ashes. Because sometimes the person who seems most dangerous is actually the one who will protect you, the fiercest. Sometimes love finds you when you've stopped looking for it, and sometimes the best endings come from the worst beginnings. Thank you so much for watching this story. If you enjoyed it and haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our next emotional tale. Drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. I love hearing from you all around the world. See you in the next. 3 months after their engagement, Maya found herself standing in the elegant showroom of an exclusive bridal boutique, surrounded by yards of silk and lace that cost more than she used to make in a year. The wedding planner, a sharp woman named Isabella, fluttered around her with fabric samples and venue photographs while Lily sat nearby, sketching wedding dresses in her coloring book. "You need to decide on the flowers today," Isabella pressed, her tablet clutched like a weapon. "The florist is waiting for confirmation on the centerpieces, and if we don't lock in the arrangements now, we'll lose the date at the botanical garden." Maya felt overwhelmed by the endless decisions. Every choice seemed monumental. Every detail scrutinized by vendors who knew exactly how much Leonardo was willing to spend. She had suggested a simple ceremony, maybe something small at the mansion, but Leonardo insisted she deserved everything she'd dreamed of, even if she'd never dared to dream it. "What does the bride want?" Isabella asked pointedly, sensing Maya's hesitation. Before Maya could answer, Leonardo's voice carried from the boutique entrance. "She wants whatever makes her happy." He strode into the showroom, his presence immediately commanding the space. Vincent followed close behind, his expression tight with the kind of tension that had become familiar lately. Mr. Rossi, Isabella beamed, her professional smile brightening. Perfect timing. We were just discussing the final details for the ceremony. Leonardo barely acknowledged her, his attention focused entirely on Maya. You look stressed, he observed, moving to her side and placing a protective hand on her lower back. It's just a lot, Maya admitted quietly. Everything is so elaborate. I keep thinking about my mother, how she would have loved to see this, but also how she would have been shocked by all the expense. Your mother would have wanted you to have everything beautiful, Leonardo said softly, then turned to Isabella. Give us a moment alone. Isabella and her assistant quickly retreated to the back room, though Maya suspected they remained within earshot. Vincent lingered near the entrance, his phone pressed to his ear in what was clearly a tense conversation. Is everything all right with Vincent? Maya asked, noting the worry lines around Leonardo's eyes. Business complications, Leonardo said dismissively, but she could tell there was more to it. Nothing for you to worry about. Today is about our wedding, about our future. Lily looked up from her drawing and bounded over to them. Uncle Leonardo, look what I drew. She held up a picture of 3 stick figures in fancy clothes standing in front of what looked like a castle. That's beautiful, sweetheart, Leonardo said, crouching down to her level. Is that us on our wedding day? Yes, and after you marry Mama, are you really going to be my new daddy? Lily asked with the directness that only children possessed. Maya's breath caught. They hadn't specifically discussed Leonardo's role in Lily's life beyond the general understanding that they would be a family. But hearing her daughter voice the question so plainly made the reality hit differently. Leonardo was quiet for a moment, his expression serious as he considered his answer. Would you like that? He asked Lily. Would you like me to be your daddy? Lily nodded enthusiastically. Derek was scary and mean. But you're not scary, not to us. You make Mama smile, and you keep us safe. Then yes, Leonardo said, his voice slightly rough with emotion. I would be honored to be your daddy, Lily. That's what families do. They choose each other, and they protect each other. Maya felt tears prick her eyes as she watched the man she loved promise her daughter the stability and safety she'd always craved. This was what she'd been fighting for all those years, this moment of belonging and security. Vincent appeared at Leonardo's shoulder, his expression urgent. Boss, we need to talk. Now. Leonardo's jaw tightened, but he nodded. Take Lily to get ice cream, he instructed Maya. I'll handle this and meet you at home tonight. As Maya gathered her daughter and their things, she caught fragments of Vincent's hurried whispers. The Moretus, territory disputes, someone testing boundaries. The words sent a chill through her, reminding her that their happiness existed within a world of constant danger. That evening, Leonardo returned to the apartment later than usual, his shirt slightly wrinkled and a cut on his knuckles that he tried to hide. Maya was waiting in the kitchen, having put Lily to bed hours earlier. How bad is it? She asked without preamble. Leonardo poured himself a glass of whiskey before answering. Bad enough. Antonio Moretti thinks my engagement makes me vulnerable, that I'm distracted. He's been encroaching on territory we've held for years, testing how far he can push before I respond. And how are you going to respond? Maya asked, though she dreaded the answer. However I have to, Leonardo said grimly. This isn't just about business anymore, Maya. It's about you and Lily. If I show any weakness now, if I let him think he can challenge me without consequences, he won't stop with territory. He'll come for what matters most to me. Maya moved closer to him, noting the exhaustion in his posture. You're not weak, Leonardo. Loving us doesn't make you weak. Tell that to every enemy who's watching for an opening, Leonardo replied, then immediately softened his tone. I'm sorry. I don't mean to take this out on you. It's just that everything is more complicated now. Every decision I make has to account for your safety and Lily's. Maybe we should postpone the wedding, Maya suggested quietly, until things settle down. Leonardo's head snapped up, his eyes flashing with something between hurt and anger. You want to postpone it? I want you to be safe, Maya clarified. I want all of us to be safe. If getting married makes you a target, if it puts Lily in danger. No, Leonardo said firmly, setting down his glass and moving to take her hands. Absolutely not. Postponing won't make us safer, Maya. It will only send a message that Antonio can dictate our lives, that he has power over our choices. We're getting married as planned, and anyone who has a problem with that will deal with me." The conviction in his voice was absolute, but Maya could see the weight he was carrying. She pulled him closer, wrapping her arms around him and feeling some of the tension ease from his shoulders. "Tell me about your day," he murmured into her hair. "Something normal. Something good." "Lily asked if you were going to be her real daddy," Maya said softly. "She's excited about having a father who won't disappear or hurt us." "What did you tell her?" Leonardo asked. "That families are built on choice and love, not just blood. That you chose us and we chose you, and that makes it real." They stood together in the quiet kitchen, holding each other against the storm gathering outside their door. Maya understood now that marrying Leonardo meant accepting his world completely, not just the protection and luxury, but the constant threat and moral complexity. But as she felt his heartbeat against her cheek and thought of Lily sleeping peacefully in her bed, she knew it was a choice she would make again. The next few weeks passed in a blur of wedding preparations interspersed with increasing tension from Leonardo's business dealings. Maya threw herself into the planning, partly from genuine excitement, but also as a way to maintain some sense of normalcy for Lily, who had become fascinated with the idea of wearing a flower crown and walking down the aisle ahead of her mother. Maya had also begun settling into her new role overseeing Leonardo's legitimate businesses. Her days were spent in conference rooms and site visits, reviewing financial reports and negotiating contracts for the restaurant chain, the real estate holdings, and the import company that served as the front for less legal activities she preferred not to examine too closely. She discovered she had a talent for the work that surprised everyone, including herself. Her attention to detail and analytical mind, combined with her understanding of what it meant to struggle financially, brought a perspective to the businesses that increased both profits and employee satisfaction. "You're wasted on paperwork," Vincent told her one afternoon as they reviewed quarterly reports for the restaurant division. "You should be running your own company." "Maybe someday," Maya replied, though the idea felt impossibly distant. "Right now, I'm learning everything I can." Vincent studied her for a moment, his expression unreadable. "You know this life you're entering isn't easy. Leonardo will always have enemies, and by extension, so will you and Lily." "I'm beginning to understand that," Maya said carefully. She'd grown to respect Vincent over the months, recognizing his loyalty to Leonardo even when they disagreed about strategy. "He loves you," Vincent continued, "more than I've ever seen him care about anything. But love doesn't stop bullets or prevent betrayals. You need to be prepared for what that means." Before Maya could respond, Leonardo's voice carried from his office, sharp with anger. Vincent immediately stood, his hand moving instinctively to his jacket where Maya knew he kept his gun. "Stay here," Vincent instructed, moving toward the office. But Maya could hear the tension in Leonardo's voice, could sense that whatever was happening was serious. Against Vincent's instruction, she followed quietly, stopping just outside the office door where she could hear the conversation. "You have 48 hours, Leonardo was saying into his phone. "Either Antonio pulls back from the docks, or I make the decision for him." "No, Vincent, I don't want to hear about negotiations. He crossed the line when he threatened my family." Maya's blood went cold. She hadn't known about any direct threats. "Boss," Vincent's voice was cautious as he entered the office. "Maybe we should discuss this." "There's nothing to discuss," Leonardo's voice was final. "Antonio thinks he can use my wedding as a distraction. Thinks he can move against us while I'm focused on other things. He's about to learn how wrong he is." "What if we offered him something else?" Vincent suggested. "A different territory, a larger cut of the port revenues. Anything to avoid an all-out war right before your wedding." "I don't negotiate with men who threaten my wife and daughter," Leonardo said coldly. Maya pressed her hand to her mouth, understanding suddenly that the abstract danger she'd been aware of had become very specific and immediate. She thought of Lily at school, of the security detail that had become a permanent fixture in their lives, of all the ways their happiness could be destroyed in an instant. When she returned to her desk, she couldn't focus on the financial reports. Every number blurred together as her mind raced through scenarios, each worse than the last. She thought of her mother, who had stayed in an abusive marriage because she thought it was safer than leaving. Was Maya making the same mistake, choosing perceived security over real safety? That evening, after Lily was asleep, Maya confronted Leonardo directly. "Vincent told me about the threats," she said without preamble when he entered their bedroom. About Antonio targeting our family specifically. Leonardo's expression grew guarded. Vincent talks too much. Don't deflect, Maya pressed. I need to know what we're facing. I need to know what kind of danger Lily is in because of our relationship. Leonardo sat heavily on the edge of the bed, suddenly looking older than his years. Antonio Moretti has been a rival for 20 years. We've maintained a careful balance, each of us controlling different aspects of the city's operations. But he sees our engagement as an opportunity, thinks I'll be distracted or weakened by having people I care about. And is he right? Maya asked. Are you distracted? Honestly, sometimes, Leonardo admitted. I think about you and Lily when I should be thinking about strategy. I worry about coming home to you when I should be focused on eliminating threats. But that doesn't mean I'm weak, Maya. It means I have something worth fighting for. Maya sat beside him, taking his hand and noting the fresh bandages on his knuckles. What happened yesterday? And don't tell me it was nothing. Antonio's men approached Lily's school, Leonardo said quietly. They didn't get close, my security stopped them, but the message was clear. He wants me to know he can reach the people I love. Maya felt sick. How close did they get? Close enough. Leonardo's voice was grim. Close enough that I can't pretend this is just business anymore. So what do we do? Maya asked, though she wasn't sure she wanted to hear the answer. We eliminate the threat, Leonardo said simply. Permanently. You mean kill him? Maya stated rather than asked. I mean protect our family by any means necessary, Leonardo clarified, but his meaning was clear. Maya was quiet for a long moment, processing the reality of what he was telling her. She'd known intellectually that Leonardo's business involved violence, but having it laid out so starkly, having it connected directly to her daughter's safety, made it impossible to maintain any illusions. When? She finally asked. Soon, Leonardo replied. Before the wedding. I won't start our marriage with this hanging over us. Maya nodded, understanding that she had crossed a line in her own mind. She was no longer just in love with a dangerous man. She was actively choosing to build a life that included this violence as a necessity. The thought should have terrified her, but instead she felt a calm resolve settle over her. What do you need from me? She asked. I need you to trust me, Leonardo said, surprised by her acceptance. And I need you to stay close to the apartment for the next few days. Extra security, no unnecessary trips. I trust you, Maya said simply. And I understand what kind of life this is now. I'm choosing it, Leonardo. I'm choosing you and this family we're building, whatever that means. Leonardo pulled her closer, holding her tightly. I love you, he said into her hair. More than I thought possible. And I swear to you, Maya, I will keep you and Lily safe. 2 days later, Maya woke to find Leonardo already gone, which had become unusual since the threats escalated. Vincent appeared at the apartment by mid-morning with additional security, his expression tense but controlled. Where is he? Maya asked. Taking care of business, Vincent replied diplomatically. He'll be home tonight. Is Lily safe at school? Maya pressed. She has a full detail, Vincent assured her. No one gets within 2 blocks without us knowing about it. Maya spent the day in a state of controlled anxiety, trying to maintain normalcy for Lily while her mind conjured increasingly worst-case scenarios. She thought about calling Leonardo, but knew better than to distract him when he was handling something this serious. Evening came and went without word. Then midnight passed, and Maya's carefully maintained composure began to crack. Vincent, she called when she couldn't stand the waiting anymore. He's fine, Vincent said before she could ask. It's handled. He'll be home soon. Define handled, Maya requested, though she wasn't sure she really wanted details. Antonio won't be threatening anyone anymore, Vincent said simply. And his organization has been absorbed into ours or eliminated. The territory disputes are resolved. Maya nodded, understanding that her life had been purchased with violence, that her daughter's safety had come at the cost of other people's lives. The knowledge sat heavily with her, but she found she could carry it if it meant Lily could sleep peacefully and grow up protected. Leonardo returned just after 2 a.m., moving quietly through the apartment, but unable to hide the exhaustion and something darker in his expression. Maya met him in their bedroom, noting the blood on his shirt that wasn't his own. It's over, he said simply. All of it, Maya asked. All of it, Leonardo confirmed. No more threats to you or Lily. No more territory disputes. No more looking over our shoulders. Maya helped him out of his clothes, neither of them speaking about the evidence of violence he carried. She ran a bath and sat with him as he cleaned away the night, both of them processing what this meant for their future. "The wedding is next week," Leonardo said eventually. "I know," Maya replied. "Are you ready?" he asked, and she understood he was asking about more than just the ceremony. "Yes," Maya said without hesitation. "I'm ready to be your wife, to be part of this family, to build this life with you. All of it, Leonardo. The good and the necessary and everything in between." When they finally went to bed, Leonardo held her closer than usual, and Maya understood that something fundamental had shifted. They had crossed a threshold together, and there would be no going back to who they were before. The wedding took place the following Saturday in the botanical garden as planned, surrounded by flowers that Leonardo had insisted should be exactly what Maya wanted. Lily walked down the aisle ahead of her mother, radiant in her flower crown and white dress, scattering rose petals with the seriousness of someone who understood the importance of the moment. Maya wore her grandmother's pearl earrings and a dress that made her feel like she was floating. When Leonardo saw her walking toward him, his composed expression cracked slightly, revealing an emotion so raw and genuine that several guests wiped away tears. Vincent stood as Leonardo's best man, his earlier reservations apparently resolved. Maya's mother, stronger now thanks to the experimental treatments Leonardo had funded, sat in the front row with tears streaming down her face. The ceremony was simple despite Isabella's elaborate preparations. They exchanged vows they had written themselves, promises that acknowledged the complexity of their love and the challenges they would face together. "I promise to protect you and choose you every day," Leonardo said, his voice steady and sure. "I promise to be worthy of your trust and your daughter's love." "I promise to stand with you and build this family together," Maya replied. "I promise to love you through whatever comes, to be your partner in all things." When they kissed as husband and wife, Lily cheered loudly enough to make the entire gathering laugh. Later, during the reception, she insisted on dancing with her new daddy, standing on his shoes as he waltzed her around the floor. "You did good, kiddo," Vincent told Maya as they watched Leonardo spin Lily until she giggled uncontrollably. "We all did good," Maya corrected, understanding that they had all chosen each other. That family was indeed something built rather than just inherited. The reception continued late into the evening, but eventually the guests departed and the vendors cleaned up their elaborate displays. Maya, Leonardo, and Lily returned to what was now officially their home together, tired but content. As Maya tucked Lily into bed, her daughter asked, "Are we really a family now?" "We've been a family for months," Maya assured her. "The wedding just made it official." "I'm glad Uncle Leonardo is my daddy now," Lily said sleepily. "He keeps us safe, and he makes you happy." "He does," Maya agreed, kissing her daughter's forehead. "Sleep well, sweetheart." When Maya returned to their bedroom, she found Leonardo on the balcony looking out over the city lights, still wearing his wedding suit, but with his tie loosened and his jacket discarded. "No regrets?" he asked when she joined him. "None," Maya said firmly. "You?" "None," Leonardo replied, pulling her close. "Though I should probably warn you that married life with me won't always be peaceful." "I would be disappointed if it was," Maya said, and meant it. "I didn't fall in love with you because you were safe, Leonardo. I fell in love with you because you're exactly who you are." They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the city spread out below them. Maya thought about how far she'd traveled from that morning when she'd stood in Leonardo's mansion with blood on her face, terrified and alone. Now she stood as his wife, as Lily's mother, as part of something larger and more complex than she'd ever imagined possible. "What are you thinking about?" Leonardo asked. "How much everything has changed," Maya replied. "How different our lives are now." "Better?" Leonardo asked. "Definitely better," Maya confirmed. "Scary sometimes, but better." As they prepared for bed that night, Maya caught sight of herself in the mirror, her wedding dress hanging carefully in the closet, her new rings catching the light. She looked like someone who belonged in this life, someone who could navigate the complexity and moral ambiguity of Leonardo's world while maintaining her own principles and protecting her daughter. Tomorrow they would start their official life as a married couple, with all the challenges and joys that would bring. Maya was ready for it, for the business decisions and the security concerns and the everyday moments of happiness in between. She had found her place in this dangerous and beautiful world, and she intended to make the most of it. Mrs. Rossi, Leonardo said softly as they settled into bed together. Mr. Rossi, Maya replied with a smile. I love you, he said, as he had every night since they'd first kissed. I love you too, Maya replied, as she would every night for the rest of their lives. Outside their window, the city continued its restless movement, but inside their home, all was peaceful. They had built something real and lasting from the ashes of their separate tragedies, something worth fighting for and protecting. And tomorrow, they would wake up and continue building it, day by day, choice by choice, together.